And we're back with our world lead in a show of solidarity from the United States. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin traveled to the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky and other key Ukrainian leaders. After that meeting, Blinken declaring that Ukraine will be around, quote, a lot longer than Vladimir Putin, unquote. Joining us live to discuss, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey, who serves as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Mr. Chairman, thanks for joining us. The Secretary of State Blinken is going to testify before your committee tomorrow. What immediate questions do you have for him following his trip to Ukraine?
Well, Jay, good to be with you. I want to hear what he heard from President Zelensky. I want to hear specifically what is the type of assistance that President Zelensky is looking for. What is our ability to provide that? What is the success of the overwhelming lethal equipment that we provided the Ukrainians, and how are they using that? So I want to get a clear picture from the State Department about what has happened in terms of that which we provided, what is the plan for that which we will provide so that the Ukrainians can continue to successfully fight for their country and defeat the Russians at the end of the day. So while tomorrow's hearing is a bigger hearing, it's about the budget, but obviously this is the issue of the moment, and I'm sure there'll be many questions along those lines.
A senior State Department official tells CNN that Secretary Blinken said that American diplomats are going to start to return to Kyiv this week, I believe Kyiv, definitely Ukraine. Are you concerned about their safety?
I'm always concerned about our diplomats abroad and their safety anywhere in the world. This is obviously a country that is at war, but we have had diplomats in countries at war before. So I'm sure that the secretary has been working through diplomatic security to make sure that, to the effect that diplomats are returning, they are returning in a way that they can be helpful in our bilateral relationships with Ukraine, be a source of direct communications with the Zelensky government, but do it in a way in which they're safe and secure. I'm also very glad to hear that the administration has named someone to be a career person, the ambassador to Ukraine. I look forward to reviewing her file and having her before the committee as soon as possible.
Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says America wants to see Russia, quote, weakened to the degree that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine, unquote. What will it take to weaken Russia that much?
Well, I think as I understood the Secretary Austin's statement, it's basically about saying not having Russia have the wherewithal to continue to attack Ukraine in the way that it's had, and not to bring that belligerence to another country. You've seen some of the suggestions by some of the Russian high establishment in terms of the military about talking about Transnistria and other targets to come. And so it's a combination of really continuing to inflict enormous pain on the Russian military, which the Ukrainians have courageously done with the use of our weaponry. And secondly, to continue to tighten the economic noose around Putin's neck and to create unrest in Russia because of the economic consequences that the Russian people are facing as a result of Putin's decision to unjustly invade Ukraine and violate the international order. That has to be a continuum. Every day, we are looking at different ways in which we can create those economic pressures on Russia and on Putin, but at the same time, create enormous consequences. And I think Russian mothers are beginning to ask, where's my son? And that will continue to be a real problem for Vladimir Putin.
You talk about economic pressure. Last year, the European Union paid Russia almost $300 million every single day for energy, oil, gold, natural gas. Ukrainian officials, when I was in Ukraine a couple weeks ago, they told me this is unacceptable, that Germany and other European countries need to stop their funding Putin's war. Even if they take an economic hit, these European countries, they need to do this. Do you agree? Does the U.S. need to take more of a leadership role in helping Germany and other European countries to end their energy dependence on Russia as soon as possible?
Well, certainly ending the energy dependence on Russia for not just Germany, but Europe is one of the most important things we can do. And we have been engaged. We've been engaged with the Qataris and others to provide liquefied natural gas to Germany and other countries. We are looking at other sources of energy to help diversify the European dependency that they've had on Russia. But let's be very honest. You just can't turn the switch overnight. If it could be done, and if there were other sources that could replace it, it's not just an economic hit. It's what that energy supplies to the people in those countries, to the businesses in those countries, to the economy of those countries that are helping to fuel the supplies necessary for Ukraine to fight against Russia. So, yes, we want to see it end yesterday. But by the same token, we have to deal with the realities of how do we create the alternatives. And what I hope and what I know will happen, this is why Putin has made one of the most strategic blunders of his life, is that Europe wants to diversify away from Russia. Before, they were happy and content to have Russia as their gas station. That's not the case anymore. And that's going to have long-term consequences for Russia. The quicker we can do it and the quicker we can help Europe be able to do it, it's going to take some difficult choices. Do we want to turn to some of our Gulf partners, which we have some strained relationships with, and say, crank up the output? They'll probably do that, but they'll probably have things that they are concerned about in return. That's one of the policy decisions that's going to have to be made.
All right. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Bob Menendez of New Jersey, thank you so much, sir. Good to see you.